Good morning, and here we are on another glorious day here in Poole at the Sunseeker Shipyard. And today we've got a fantastic treat, and that's a sea trial on board what is a gorgeous Sunseeker Predator 74 behind us. So without further delay, let's get going and see what this glorious machine is really all about. So here we are, stood at the helm of this beautiful Predator 74, and the first thing that really hits you is the visibility through the forward screens all the way back down both the port and starboard sides. Absolutely stunning visibility, very, very easy. And also the amount of natural light coming in with the windscreens, the side screens, and also this beautiful glazed roof above us here. At the helm itself, the wheel obviously adjusts to whatever angle suits, whether you're stood or seated at the helm, and the controls really do fall straight to hand. And you'll notice now we're out and in the channel here, we've actually got them in sync. So one control will actually work both engines and synchronizes the RPM together. So works extremely well. Ahead of that, both forward and aft thrusters, all hydraulic, and you've obviously got the hold function on that. So if you are coming in against the dock, you've got a wind blowing you off, you can set a small percentage of thrust just to actually hold you against the dock whilst you get your line secured. So works exceptionally well. And another added advantage, and you can quite see it here, is this boat is equipped with the joystick control as well at this main helm. So that will use thrusters and main engine controls together and give you the ability of just using the joystick, which is particularly useful maybe if you've come from a boat that has the IPS system. So, again, if you're used to that, or just are more comfortable rather than having to use the 4 different controls, you've now got the ability to use everything combined in one simple control head here. You'll see the side door to the starboard side, so when we moved away from the dock, that's great. I mean, I can step out of here extremely easily, got a great view down that starboard side, and makes life very easy in understanding how close you are to the dock and judging distances. If we come to the main control, we've got the 2 MAN dedicated engine displays here. Now obviously you can scroll through the menus on those, but it will give you all the basic information from temperatures, oil pressures, main engine RPM, and obviously things like fuel consumption, etc. on those screens. Above then we have 2 Simrad screens. I've got one set up at the moment as the plotter screen, and the second is on radar, ready to go. There's a combination of how you set these screens up, whether that's split screen, even into 4 sections, what data you want displayed. So that is very, very flexible system. They are touchscreen, but you've also got a manual control here that personally I find easier when you're running, rather than reaching and maybe trying to work the touchscreen. You've got the control here as well. Beyond that, you've got separate, smaller 4-inch screens here from Simrad, which can show again a variety of information. Currently we've got it as rudder angle, depth, and then your autopilot control here. So again, very easy to mix and match how you want that information displayed. If we come along, here we've got a small display that gives you an overview of what's actually happening on the boat. So in terms of fuel tankage, water tankage, what's happening with lighting, and that's repeated here on a second screen, larger and easier probably for the co-pilot to see. And then the side power thruster screen, again, which gives you a touchscreen control of the stabilizers, either when you're underway, where they work exceptionally well really from about 11 or 12 knots and up, or once you get at anchor, obviously it gives you active stabilization at anchor, which is, the comfort then on board is dramatically improved, from trying to catch your glasses as they slide across the table to literally the drink moving within the glass. So it works exceptionally well. You'll see you've got 2 vents here, aircon vents. So on a day like today, it's actually warm, believe it or not, here in England. You can have those running, and they're fully adjustable in direction, and obviously you can close them off totally. Going back down here, you've then got all your controls for anchor windlass, nav lights, sliding roof, horn, wipers, which are on beautiful, just single touch illuminated like stainless steel buttons. They're really beautifully done, very logically laid out here. And then finally, VHF, all important drinks holders, and a remote control spotlight control here. One little thing, which I don't know if you can see on the film, but the steering wheel has this beautiful Rolls-Royce-esque center hub that always self-centers with the Sunseeker emblem, which is just a nice little touch here in the center of the wheel. With that, I'm going to open the roof now and enjoy the ride, and we'll come back once we get to speed. Okay, so here we are. Let's take her up through the rev range so we can get some idea of how she really performs. So tick over now, we'll just take her up to 1,000 RPM, and you can feel that instant pickup. I mean, she's 74 foot, but still a great sports boat. 11 knots at 1,000, very, very easy. We're now up through to 1,200 RPM, 12 knots. Let's take her up a bit more here. So 1,400. 14, 15 knots. You can feel the turbos now really cooking in. So I mean, you've got a real punch now from those engines. And we'll just take it up through now gently to 1,800, 1,900 RPM. And already we're doing 20 knots. I mean, it is so smooth and quiet, it's quite incredible. So 1,800 RPM, this would be a very nice cruise for a lot of people. We're running at 23, 24 knots. I mean, it feels like we're hardly moving. I mean, it just incredible amount of smoothness and how quiet it is. We're burning at around about 300 litres an hour at this 24 knots. So we'll give you around about a 300-mile range. At this speed, you'll notice the steering is still finger light. I mean, so easy. You know, turning around to port, I mean, just absolutely fantastic. Back to starboard, I mean, it's literally finger touch. Absolutely brilliant. So, being the Predator, let's really see what she'll do, shall we? So, up to 2,000, 26, 27 knots now, 2,200, we're at 30 knots. I mean, this is so easy for such a large boat. I mean, just instant speed increase as we go through. So that's 2,200, 31 knots. And here we go, we'll take her up now. 2,300, 2,350. We're seeing 33, 34 knots here with the allowance for the tide. What you remember as well is moment, the stabilizers are active. So you have got a little bit of drag even from the stabilizers, and still you get that instant speed. I mean, quite incredible how smooth, how quiet, and how she runs. And look at the attitude. I mean, I've got perfect vision all the way down the sides and ahead. Just really, really beautifully quiet. Let's just pull her back a minute. Let's just actually do a tick over and up run, just so you can really see how quick she will accelerate, which, you know, let's face it, Predator, sports boat, let's actually see what she does. So we're dropping back down now, back down off the plane, gently does it. So we'll come right back down to just in gear ahead, and you'll just see how quickly she will accelerate. So here we are, we're right back down now, just under 1,000 RPM. We're now just tick over ahead in gear. And here we go. So throttle down, 4, 6 seconds, 8 seconds. We're already doing 15 knots. I mean, just incredible. And then the punch of those engines as the turbos really cook in. 26 knots, 30 knots. I mean, just incredible. I mean, that is up to 30 knots in about 25 seconds. Really, really good going. But she's not all just about performance. If we pull back down here, so probably what is a very comfortable cruise of 1,700, 1,800 RPM. This is the sort of speed you could keep running at all day long if you're doing an extended run. So here we are, so 25 knots, very good attitude on the boat. Obviously, if you had any sort of sea against you, obviously by using the tabs, we can push the nose down, and you can see now just what a flat angle you can get her running at. And we could even pull it back more, so if you wanted to run sort of 20 knots, slow 20s, very, very easily. it's just so flexible in the way she performs. Really, really works well. With that, I think we'll come back down to a stop, and then let's just see what the turning capability is like underway. Okay, so here we are. I mean, just give you some idea, we've got the helm hard over, we're still doing just around 20 knots. And you can see, I mean, the turning circle we're getting is probably only about 2 or 3 boat lengths. So we've got 75 feet of boat, over 50 tons, and she's turning like she's a little sports boat here. Just, I mean, absolutely incredible. And the reaction to the helm is instant. There's no lag. Very, very smooth still, considering the turning radius that we're actually going through here. So I mean, it again just shows how well matched the engine power to the hull and the steering is. I mean, it's just fantastic fun. The only isolation, the only shame here is you don't feel it because you're so enclosed here, even with the roof open. There's no noise, there's no wind. It's an incredible sensation, really, to be able to get this sort of reaction from such a large boat. Here we go, we'll straighten back up now. You'll see the speed instantly turn up, and we'll throw her straight round to the other lock. I mean, just absolutely incredible how she just instantly turn again. Very, very, very responsive. So here we are, we've dropped back down off the plane now. As you can see, our wake is coming through. So I'm actually going to use the at anchor now fins. You can see the wake we've got here. The fins are just starting up now. Just starting to get into action now to stop the roll. And here we are, we've gone right back down. We've been rolling through 4 degrees. We're now down to about 1 degree. Now down to about half a degree. You can see that within probably what was only about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, the fins have caught up with the motion of the boat, have now virtually cancelled all of that movement. Very, very effective system, and it's unbelievable how quickly it sets in to start reducing that roll. Okay, so just as give a quick note as we're coming back into the harbour here, we'll give a quick demonstration of the joystick. So to push control, take control here on the second beep, push it again, you've now got control. If I use the joystick just fully forward like this, you can see that it engages both engine drives. I can then actually use the top control just to slightly turn us around. So again, forward again here. And you can see that it's actually starting now to use both engines and thrusters together to actually give us that combination of how the joystick would actually work. So coming forward again, we're going to slowly turn around in a minute and then go stern into into our dock there. So as we go here, so you can see now as we're turning, just using the top control there. Now just using the actual control sideways, you can see that we can actually move the boat into the position we want, getting ready to go stern first into the dock. Okay, hopefully that gives you a good idea of just how easy this control is. By very, very gentle movements, using both the thrusters and the main engines. You've got to be gentle with it, but it's a very, very simple control to use, particularly if you may be a little bit nervous at this size of boat and using the 4 different controls. Gives you a very, very good idea of how it will work.